welcome to a new episode of Mostly Wrong Opinions. I am Tyrone. That is Devin. Let's get into the movie that everyone just loves right now. Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Ever since I got bit by that spider, I've only had 1 week where my life has felt normal. That was when you found out.
Movies now, more than ever, have become so much of a cash grab that they play upon, your deepest wants. This whole thing of, I want to see more of action. I want to see more of stuff that I've had before, all the time.
This was a crowd pleaser.
It was a crowd pleaser. And the fact that these leaks got out, it makes the pleasing unsatisfying to me.
But no, that's baloney too. There's been a bunch of studies. There's been a bunch of studies that say for most people, spoilers do not ruin a movie. You know why? Because a movie is more than just a sentence. If you can ruin a film with like a sentence, then you don't have a movie, right? If I can say Andrew Garfield shows up and the movie breaks, it shatters into a million pieces, then that's not a film, right? That's just a sequence. That's like an image. It's a scene. It's not a film. A sentence, a moment, a spoiler should not destroy your film, throw it in the trash, and make it like unwatchable. And I also think if your entire film can be like condensed down to a
member berries.
Yeah, exactly. I went into the film with high hopes because, as we spoke about before, I just got finished watching Spider-Man 2, right? Me and you just finished reviewing Spider-Man 2. Yes, and I knew, just like you knew, just like the whole world knew, that this was going to be a callback to Spider-Man 2 because of the, as you say, leaks. That's why we reviewed Spider-Man 2, right? And I didn't expect this to ruin the film, but I was quite surprised when, like, nothing happened in this film. And even the things that did happen, the small things that did happen, they were promptly reversed at the end of the film. So it's like, I feel like I wasted my time. Now, I know that I probably have a minority opinion because most people on the internet, I think they side with you. You seem to be very positive about this movie. And I say, watch it again. Whenever you get a chance, watch it again. Now that you know all the reveals, you know what's going to happen, watch it with eyes that are looking for a story. Not just to see Tobey Maguire's face, but looking for a story. You will not find it. It's not here.
I understand that, yeah, there isn't a story. But the thing is, Marvel does such a good job of giving you all the sugar. You don't want anything that's nutritious, and it's a problem. That's a problem that I have and everyone else has, because they gave me everything I wanted. They gave me the Green Goblin coming in here. They gave me the fights and stuff like about that. They gave me everything to shove in my face that was like, ooh, action-y and all that. But I do understand that by the end, the thing that they try to wave up as a story about Peter Parker wanting to send these people and correct these people for them to get better and go back to their own universes, and then end up killing them anyway.
Like right after this whole problem happens, where all these villains come out from the multiverse, which doesn't make any sense. I always talk about, you got to make some sort of internal logic, but I'm going to get to that in a second. Right after that happens, Doctor Strange is like, oh, we can fix it. We can send them back right now. Just before lunch, we can send them back. And Peter's like, no, you can't do that. And then we spend 2 hours with him saying, you can't do that. And then at the end, they send them back. So I'm like, so we could have just finished this movie like 2.5 hours ago? Don't like that. And I always talk about a movie operating on internal logic, right? So the movie's internal logic says that the people who came through, and I'm okay with this, the people who came through were the people who knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man, right?
With the exception of one person.
Oh, with the exception of a lot of people. That whole train from Spider-Man 2 should have come through the portal. But anyway.
Yeah, that is true.
But anyway, so this is what I'm talking about. There's no no logic. So they picked and chose who they wanted. And some of those people violated that rule of, you know who Peter Parker is, because Electro had no clue. He even admitted to it in the movie. He was like, "Oh, I thought you were black." I'm like, "Well, why are you here?" I thought you were. People only came who knew who Peter Parker was. And then it's like, okay, so where's Harry Osborn? Harry knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. Actually, both versions of Harry. Harry from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Harry from the Tobey Maguire universe. They both knew. Where was he?
Peter.
He didn't show up. So I'm like, what? The movie's not moving by internal logic. And for me, I'm sitting here watching the film. I'm thinking of all these exceptions. I'm like, well, surely they're gonna address this. Surely. So it's like, I'm like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. So I'm like holding that in back. I'm like holding that in the back of my head. I'm like, okay, they're gonna talk about this later. I know that's gonna come up. And then the movie's over. I'm like, they never spoke about that. So I'm like, what the heck? And I understand I understand how you feel about wanting to see Green Goblin again and wanting to see Doc Ock again. And I suppose that's cool because I like the characters, but you know what would have been even better? A new version of Green Goblin, a new version of Dr. Octopus. So what does this mean for Spider-Man moving forward? Will we never see a new version of Dr. Octopus? Is this it? Are we fucking done? Did we finish Dr. Octopus on the big screen in 2002? Are you? That pisses me off. We did it
because the multiverse is so wide.
Sure.
That's exactly what they're gonna say, man.
Which brings me to my other point. We did this already, and it was called Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and they did it better. And when they had new characters come through, they were like different versions we hadn't seen before. And they made eternal sense in the story as to why they're there. And they all had different tools that they used. Like one girl had like a robot and all this stuff, right? So they were very different. If Andrew Garfield didn't come through, what changes? Nothing.
You're not supposed to do what you've been doing, sir. Homie. You are not supposed to pick things apart. You're supposed to sit there and eat this.
And you're right, because you're speaking to me like I'm a child, because I think that's who this film is for. I'm in my 30s, my dude. Flashing lights don't do much. Shiny things, that doesn't impress me, my dude. I need a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit more. Just a little bit. And you know what? You know who knows this really well? Pixar.
Christopher Nolan.
No, fuck it. No. Pixar. Pixar knows how to make a flashy movie with all kind of shiny things for the kids, but there's stuff in there for adults who need a little bit more. Like Toy Story has like a story. You know what I'm saying? It's right there in the title. So I struggled with this film, and I don't think it's gonna hold up for any repeat viewing. We talked about how Spider-Man 2 aged really well, and it in the movie kind of aged in a way I wasn't expecting. Like as an adult, I felt more endeared to Peter, right? Because of his struggles. This movie will age like spoiled milk. This will not. I think one more viewing will absolutely destroy it, because there's nothing here, and it depends on you having seen almost 20 years of Spider-Man films in order for this thing to make sense. And there are some really funny memes online with people who hadn't seen the films, and their audience is clapping, and they're like,
why are they clapping for this old guy that comes in looking like a youth pastor?
Yeah. Why are they clapping for the random lawyer that's just sitting there? Right? Like, so some people didn't know because they weren't plugged in, which was kind of my problem. This felt I could feel Disney the company. I could feel Disney the company trying to connect all their properties together, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. That turned me off big time. I was not a big fan of this movie. And the more I think about it, the worse I like it.
And here's the thing, man. It's like, I am there with you. I don't think that I'm not there with you.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about it.
I'm there with you because I kind of have to go back to Martin Scorsese, man.
Ooh,
and I
me
think
too.
I think he has a point.
Tyrone, I was thinking the same thing. It's scary. I'm with you. I've spent so much time defending Marvel over this Martin Scorsese thing, right? Yeah. I feel like I've spent years defending Marvel over this, but I think this movie gave him a lot of ammunition, and that made me sad. You know what I mean? Really, because I like Marvel. You know I do. This to me was really disappointing and a little, frankly, alarming. I was like, because this movie made so much money, and
$1 billion now.
Yep, which is almost pre-pandemic numbers. Fantastic. I mean, I don't think it's made nearly as much as like Endgame has. I don't think we're not in that territory. But the fact that you could even think to compare is extraordinary. And listening to other people talk about this film, it made me sad because I'm like, so is Marvel? Is this it? Is this what Marvel's gonna do from now on? Because clearly it's working for them, right? Clearly people like it. People went out to go see it, maybe multiple times in the middle of a pandemic. So is this it? And that made me kind of sad, you know? I felt kind of disappointed.
Let me tell you, man, there's a reason why the best MCU movie is Infinity War. It's because of what Devin always talks about and always talks to me about, especially when it comes to Last of Us 2, taking risk.
Gotta take a risk.
And taking risks within the story to make people uncomfortable. And that's exactly what Infinity War did. They made the bad guy win.
Yeah, that's right.
And in this film, they gave the children their candy.
And it felt, and I like your metaphor there. It gave the children their candy, because that's what it felt like. It felt like I was a child, and Marvel was trying to shove like a pacifier in my mouth or something, and I'm like, what the, you know? Yeah.
Open your mouth!
Yeah, I'm like, what in the heck? Get that away from me! You know, I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
I want a pacifier. I want a baba, cuz.
Yeah, baba. So I would have liked to see some new versions of Doc Ock, new versions of Sandman, new versions of Green Goblin. And I didn't want to see bastardized versions of old characters. And one of the characters I thought was the most bastardized was Doc Ock. He shows up repeating his phrase, "The power of the sun in the palm of my hand." It's like, oh, okay, that's a funny callback. But we just got finished watching Spider-Man 2. And that phrase, while ominous sounding, was supposed to be a positive, because he wanted to share energy with the world. And when he comes to the MCU, he finds out that Tony Stark already has the power of the sun in the palm of his hand, right? And I feel like Doc Ock should have been pissed about that. That would have been a great place to start your film, right? He'd been like, what the heck? He's got this and he's powering a tin suit? What the he would have been mad, but instead in the film, he's just like, oh, I love it so much. Like, what the no, he wouldn't. It felt like a violation. And I didn't, if you're going to bring him back, bring him back. Don't bring back a little piece. Bring him back. Didn't make sense to me. Don't understand it. Don't understand it. Also, so Oscorp doesn't exist? Oh, that's new. So does that mean we will never get a Green Goblin? Or will Oscorp be like some new it'd be something new. They do something completely different. Does Uncle Ben exist in this universe? A lot of people have been talking about that, but in this one, they very directly addressed Uncle Ben. Someone even looked in our current MCU Peter Parker's eye and said, "Uncle Ben," and Peter was like, so I'm like, oh, does he not know his Uncle Ben?
Is that when was it in Civil War when they were talking about Uncle Ben? Or was that in Homecoming?
I can't remember which one it was. I think it might have been Homecoming, where he had a bag with Uncle Ben's initials on it. So I'm like, okay, so maybe he does, but maybe those initials don't mean shit because he had no reaction. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. Another thing I talked about, Electro. Why was he there? Didn't make any logical sense within the story. That being said, I really enjoyed Jamie Foxx as Electro. This version of Electro.
They let him be himself.
Yeah, I would have seen. I want to watch the whole movie like that. Great. What a change if he was in a better movie. Wow, I thought he was great. I thought his design was good. All that stuff's good. Also, another thing they never addressed. So he had this box where they could press the button on the box and send everybody back to their respective universes, right?
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange is like, I'm gonna go ahead and end this movie.
By the way.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah, to die, which they did anyway. But anyway, Doctor Strange is like, oh, you know what? This movie's fucking stupid. I'm gonna end it now. I'm gonna take the box from Peter Parker, press the button so we can get the people home out of the theater, right? So he pushes Spider-Man. Spider-Man goes into the exactly the astral plane, and he goes to take the box, but he can't. Why? Never addressed. This is not a thing that's ever happened ever.
For dramatic effect, Peter's spider tingle has to get his spirit back into his body. That's why they did it, because the movie has to go on, Devin.
I know.
Duh.
I know the movie must move on, but I can feel that. I can feel the mechanics of the film being like, I know that we could just end it now, but we can't because we gotta pad this movie out. That tells me they didn't really think very deeply about the story. These things are like signs that there was a group of people sitting around a table with producers around them being like, here's a checkbox of things we got to do. Don't worry about the story. Hit our check boxes. Didn't like that. That being said, here's a positive. I'm tired of saying negative shit. Here's a positive. I loved Electro. I thought he was great. Another character that I really liked was Green Goblin. I liked how they redid his physical design, where he looked a little more ratty, and I liked they brought back Willem Dafoe, who freaking rocked it. Wow, I thought he was great. He was a true highlight in the film.
I was like, this guy could get an award again for the way that he acts as Norman Osborn.
Yeah, and
he did Green Goblin.
Yeah, it was so zany. It was so zany and over the top that it flipped back onto itself and made it scary. And I'm like, oh man, that's good stuff. Another positive, Andrew Garfield. I thought he was amazing. I was like, man, this guy should have his own Spider-Man movie. Yeah, amazing. I was like, this guy should have his own Spider-Man film. Like, oh wait, he did, and it was trash. So if only we'd gotten that actor in a better film. Boy, oh boy, what an electric actor he came out to be. Way better. I liked him so much better than I like Tom Holland in this film. Tom Holland had nothing to do. He was just kind of like a blank canvas. Where Andrew Garfield, he was filled of rage and remorse, and he was still funny. Fantastic, good stuff.
In my tiny review that I did on Europe Nation Reactions, I saw that movie at that time. I think it was like 9:45 p.m. and then I got back home around like midnight, and I did my tiny review. And as the movie sat in my head after, a week now of it being in my head, all the points that I knew that Devin would talk about today came in my head. And I was like, and then I just had Martin Scorsese's face in the side of my head. Like,
me too,
if I
man.
had bubbles, I had Devin over here talking about, and then Martin Scorsese over here like, you know what? That's not real film. I'm like, I'm like, okay, I have to give in. So, but I'm gonna be sweet to this. I'm gonna give my rating, now with everything that Devin said that I agree. I agree with, but also I agree with you guys as the fans of, I love sugar. I gotta just go ahead and just give this film a 5 out of 10. I know that's probably really low for you guys to be like, what? It was a 10 out of 10. It was freaking amazing. It was everything I ever wanted it to be, because you guys are trapped in this whole this whole world that Marvel has built. You have to watch all these films to understand all this. You can't be 10 years old and get all the stuff that was in this film, really.
I mean, you might have. If you're like 10 years old and you hadn't watched the older films, maybe just be overwhelmed by all the flashing lights and people. And my theater apparently was not unique. Apparently, a lot of theaters where had people cheering and laughing, and so you might have gotten caught up in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's okay. And it's never, if you like the movie, you think this movie's a 10. I am genuinely jealous of you. I wish I saw a 10 movie. That's what I wanted. That's why I feel this way, right? I'm not hating on you for loving the film. I want you to love it. I want to love it too, right? That's why I'm frustrated. I want to love it too. I want to laugh. I want to be there with you. But I didn't like this movie, and I'm alarmed by how popular it is, and I'm seeing some trends here that I didn't really like. And so you gave it a 5, which I'm kind of surprised by that rating. I thought you'd give it higher, but
I can't.
Okay.
I can't.
Because I came in here gonna give it a 4, and I thought maybe you were gonna like kill me for that, but no, I give it a 4.
No, I'm not.
And the only reason it even gets the 4 instead of like a 2 or something is because of Willem Dafoe, Andrew Garfield. I loved it. If I could get a new Spider-Man movie, not Amazing Spider-Man, none of that, but a new Spider-Man movie with Willem Dafoe and Andrew Garfield, amazing. Wow, I just thought they were great.
They're Oscar-nominated actors.
I know, they're really good. They can turn a turd into gold, because that's what they was doing. I saw them spinning it. They're like, I was like, yo, look at you. Go, Willem, go. So anyway.
Oh, man.
This movie reminded me a lot of Ghostbusters. Because Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters, it relied so heavily on nostalgia to the point that it like ate itself, right? It defied its own internal logic, and it contradicted things that happened in previous movies. And the only way for you to really enjoy it is if when those old people show up on the screen, you just miss them. You know what I mean? You just like, oh, I missed you so much. That's the only way you can really enjoy that film. It's the same thing with this new Spider-Man. And I hope this trend does not continue. I know you don't like Hawkeye, but Hawkeye gives me a little bit of hope, because at least there was
by the end.
At least there was a story. You know what I mean? It wasn't perfect, but at least it gave me a story. And hopefully that's where we're moving towards. And hey, Daredevil's back. He's in the MCU. I think Charlie, what's his name? Charlie
Cox.
Charlie Cox. I like he's great as Daredevil. Look forward to seeing him in the future. So this movie's not a complete loss, but this is not my cup of tea. I will never watch this again. I hope I never see it again. Did not like it, and I hope this is just a one-off. I hope we don't just get a bunch of these. I know.
It won't be.
Tyrone, I know. I know. But
you know why it won't be? Is because these people knew when all those tickets sold out, and it became the third highest gross movie for opening weekend domestically. They're not.
It's made too much money. It's made too much money.
Well, everyone, get down in those comments and rip it. Okay.
Tell us why we're wrong. Tell us why we're wrong.
Yes. Tell us why our opinion is mostly wrong, or in you guys' opinion, all the way wrong. Because I remember when I talked to Justin about this, Justin was like, "If you guys say this movie is horrible, I'm gonna slap you, man." I was like,
"Let's go.
Let's go.
Slap you back."
So I gave Spider-Man No Way Home a 5. Devin gave it a 4. And get at us, people. That is our review for Spider-Man No Way Home. Thank you for clicking on this video, for how negative that it is to you guys. You know, no matter what it is, we appreciate you guys getting to us and clicking on our video here. Please do us a favor. If you liked or didn't like this banter, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. All right, subscribe to the channel.
Do it,
and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with every video that we do here on Mostly Wrong Opinions. And go ahead and hit that like button, or you can hit the dislike button, because you know you want to. You definitely know you want to hear, even though you don't see it. You definitely want to hear. Whatever it is your opinion. But just remember one thing: it is mostly wrong. I see you guys in another video. Bye.